Hey everybody, it's Dave from Lamarand Photography, and I wanted to put together a series of videos to kind of prepare brides and grooms on their wedding day. This will help us and it will help you just make the day go smoother front to back, and it's better to have a little bit more of a plan and so you guys know what to expect on your wedding day. One of the first things, obviously, when planning your wedding, when it comes to a photographer, you want to find the right photographer. Not necessarily saying that it's us, but first of all, you always want to check out their work. Make sure you like their work. That is obviously the most important thing. And then when you have your consultation, you want to feel like you connect with the person. You think they're cool. You could hang out with them. You want to like who you're going to be dealing with, because we are going to be with you your whole day. Engagement sessions are really important for us, particularly because it gives us time to get to know you guys. And when we feel like we know each other, it helps the whole day go by better. Whenever we arrive on your wedding day, we feel like we know you. It's not a really awkward situation. It's more comfortable. For your engagement session, we like to have you guys bring 2 to 3 outfits. The engagement session usually runs from 1 to 2 hours, and it's important to decide what kind of feel you want for your engagement session before booking. Like, do you want a more urban setting? Would you like a more natural setting? Me personally, I like to do both. So I always recommend finding something that is nearby, like a downtown area with a park. And your outfits, you want your outfits to go with those settings. If you have a natural setting, you want more maybe earthy tones. And then whenever you move into the urban settings, you can get more into your nightlife outfits if you want. I always like doing stuff with more formal, dressier clothes. I guess I just like the lifestyle fashion look. But, it's really all about you showing your personality and really portraying yourselves in these photos. So it's all the styling comes down to you, but it is something you want to put a little thought into. The first thing, which is probably the most important, is your timeline. Planning your timeline front to back. Something a lot of people don't think about when they're planning their wedding day is how much time they need for their photos. And for us, we like to have at least 2 hours to shoot your formal photos in between. The other thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is the fact that after the ceremony is done, we have to do all your family photos. Those take generally 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on how many groupings you want. So it's good to factor in that time, but then also factor in drive time. If you're going to go to a different location, you want to make sure all that time is factored in, and we want about 2 hours shoot time. This is why, if time is going to be an issue, we like to consider a first look. If you haven't heard about the first look, we'll get into it more in detail in another video, but for the sake of this one, a first look is just so that you guys can see each other before the wedding, so that it frees up a lot of time to do all the photos before the wedding even starts. And some of the perks to that are that after the ceremony, you can just run right into your reception. You can do cocktail hour with your guests. There's not a gap in between. There's a lot of perks to a first look. Also, just to summarize it and kind of sell you on the idea, is that you guys get to have this moment together alone, and we capture that moment. And again, we'll get more into that into another video, but a first look is great for that. And then one of the other things to consider too is whether or not to do a receiving line. Every wedding is different. Some people do them, some people don't. If you're planning your timeline and you're going to have not a lot of time to work with, we'd obviously suggest against a receiving line. They take up a lot of time. I mean, generally they'll take about 15 minutes to half an hour on themselves. Locations, it's nice to find a location that has a lot to work with. So we often shoot in downtown Detroit, downtown areas, to where you get a little mixture of everything. You can have a natural feel, you can have a downtown urban setting, and we look for a lot of textures to work with too, so we've got a little bit of different backgrounds. To give you a brief rundown on how the day goes, when working with us, depending on whether you get a first look or not, we'll just go ahead and say, whenever we show up to start shooting your wedding day, we'll show up where you're getting ready. One of us, if you get 2 photographers, will show up with the bride, one will show up with the groom. We'll shoot the details as soon as we arrive, so it's always nice for you to have those details ready. We generally only need about an hour to shoot those details before it's time to roll into the ceremony or relocate. Now, any extra time is always a bonus, so we're never going to complain if there's extra time. After that, I mean, in most of what we do throughout the day, other than the formal shots with the family and the party, the wedding party, and the shots with the two of you, is photojournalistic. We pretty much just float around and mind our business and kind of try to capture real moments as they happen. We don't like to pose things. If there is something that that we want to grab, I will do whatever it takes to pose it and get the shot right. But for the most part, photojournalism is our niche. That's what we really like to do. So moving into the ceremony, same scenario. You won't even hear from us. We'll just be floating around the room, shooting photojournalistically. And then up until after the ceremony, that's when we'll start to do the family photos. And again, like I mentioned before, those take anywhere 15 minutes to a half an hour. And then we go into wedding party photos and the photos of the bride and groom. And then beyond that, we go back into right after the formal photos are done, we run right into the reception. And the reception is all photojournalistic, just like the rest. So we stay out of your way. There's certain things that we need to do here and there, but we don't try to intrude. And a lot of times you won't even know we're there until you see your photos later on, and you'll be surprised at some of the stuff that we got. So that's kind of a quick summary of some of the topics that we want to go over. We'll end it for now, but if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to hear us talk about to plan for your day, shoot us an email, let us know, and keep your eye out for other videos coming in the future, hopefully.
She stays awake tonight, is it the way she wants it? And it's so bad she cries herself to sleep, but she can't